So I just picked these up. This here is the Triple Threat by Jason Brous. If you haven't seen it already, go check out the shop tour video. Nice to kind of see all the technology that goes into it. First start off, before that, I'll show the Silent Soldier version 2, a little special NeptuneKnives version. Mr. Brous has agreed to make exclusive to my website, so that is just awesome because you can tell it has this very unique look. I mean, for Jason to say that this is his preferred, I'm like, that's awesome, then that's just great. Like, I really appreciate that. So it may come soon that I will be doing a test of this in kind of like mock survival situations, and also the Triple Threat. So this is that, and you can see he actually puts WD-40 inside his Kydex. Seems to prevent it from scratching at all. See, the blasting is still on here, so you can feel the grip, but it's just polished right there on the surface. Really nice. Okay, and normally, hope you don't mind, Jason, but normally you know, he keeps them separate, like the Kydex and the beads together in this little black smaller bag, and then the big bag, the blade is just in there, and it kind of like falls around and punches holes. So I think that's dangerous, especially with shipping even, so I opted to put it in the sheath. Like I said, it doesn't scratch anyway. You can just see, look, because of that WD-40. No problem, no damage to the coating. I mean, anyone's going to use it anyway, is going to put it in the sheath. So that is that, and then I put this inside here, and I put the beads inside the bag so it doesn't scratch anything. Okay, the prototype, you guys can see here, this is number 1, the first one. Yeah, it's unsharpened, you can see, and it's all blacked out. You know, quick little shot. Okay, now you can see here, there's this edge right here. You see there's a bump. So the main difference between the prototype and the final version is that you can see right here, Jason has worked that out because he said that would catch. He fixed that, so now it how you say, when you cut it, the material goes through easier. Now you're gonna see like this blade grind, you're gonna think, okay, man, you know that looks like perhaps it wouldn't work, or what is that about, you know. And I would say it's mostly aesthetic. You know, it doesn't actually, well, what it does do, besides having a look to it and perhaps making someone think, man, that's going to be odd cutting performance, is it provides an increase in bulk each step up. So this is the thinnest by far area and the highest, and it gets thick here, like this area is all thick now, you can feel it, and then here, like a very thick Tonto tip. So there's a lot of knives that I see out there, you know, a lot of people will say that some knives just don't function, they're just for looks, different blade designs, you know, they seem more just artistic or just kind of too far out there to work. And it's hard because you watch on YouTube and there's all these different conflicting viewpoints, you know, people have different test results because it's, you know, they have different skill levels, they're cutting through different mediums. It's just hard to get a grasp as to what actually works or not, you know. I see the nightmare grinds of Strider to a grind like this, and you know, first impression is perhaps this kind of grind wouldn't work. It wouldn't be functional. It would be just artistry. It's just for looks. This is a saber grind, or 3 different, you know, level of saber grinds, and then right here a V-edge, a traditional V-edge. It is one solid continuous V-edge. For example, I just saw a convex edge, you know, roll, you know, under not extreme cutting. And it makes me think when Dwayne Dwyer says that a traditional V-edge is better for folding knives or pocket knives, smaller knives, you know, it makes me think that that's correct. Because I mean, you know, you want some sort of strength or utility. You know, people say that convex is stronger, but then I saw a convex knife roll through light cutting. So I mean, in my opinion, you know, you have to look at perhaps each individual design and the steel that's made of and what it's for. So it never means that a knife is not good. It just is meant for different things. And so in this instance, when you look at this knife, you know, would I think that it's for slicing paper? No. You know, to me, this doesn't look like that kind of knife. To me, this looks like a knife that you, in my opinion, would take outdoors and kick ass. But, you know, can it slice through paper? Let's go through some soft magazine paper. That, if it does this, then, you know, heck, what's the point of the rest? So I didn't sharpen this. This is Jason's factory edge. I mean, this is the edge that he puts on it. Let's see. You see this paper? Okay. See, if anything, no. I'll say the front starts to get more obtuse, definitely. That happens a lot of knife makers when they sharpen that. Their front area just kind of starts to get more bulbous or something more thick. But you can see, regardless, as it goes through each step, you can see here on this video, it works. You know, sometimes like nightmare grinds and other grinds like that, you know, they don't look like they'd work, but you know, I don't know if you can see this or not. Okay, so I mean, it works, you know. This is just a traditional V-edge with a secondary bevel V-edge with and look at the blade stock. I mean, that is, so for the comparison, here is a 4mm Strider. I mean, look at that. I think it's like 7mm or something. That is insane. That is crazy. You guys know my chisel knife, so you know, in comparison, it's a 4mm hollow grind. Snags was a tip because I still have chips in there around the front. You can see it. In comparison, that is pretty impressive. Whatever the blade geometry that the triple thread has, it works. I mean, regardless of what it looks like, it isn't just for looks, it is function, because this is a hollow ground 4mm blade, and the triple thread is like a, what is this, you know, a normal, this is basically a crazy saber grind with coming from like a 7mm stock. See that? I mean, it really is, that's impressive. Mr. Brous is different from other knife makers because I learned that he has been around machinery and at shop since childhood. So it's very different than most knife makers who perhaps at some point picked it up. I mean, Brous has been around this stuff, been around the computers, the programs, the metals for extended amount of time. I mean, even though he's young, we're talking he has like almost, he may be just 5 years short of the experience of knife makers that have been around for 2 decades. And so that is visible in his designs, I realize now. Because, for example, when he showed me this, okay, you see that? I was like, whoa. And that is because, based off the technology of his computers, he was able to match the weight to be exactly in the middle. I mean, look at that. I mean, one wouldn't think that, and yet it is. And then that's kind of then what makes me feel that the edge here is still scientific. Like, if you look at it, I mean, he still matched, in my opinion, I feel, this may be an incorrect statement, this is just what I'm thinking, that he matched it in a way that he knew the performance that would occur from this design. Like, he could still see how it would work. For this thick of a blade, you know, fixed blade with that kind of 7mm thickness, you know, D2 tool steel, and you know, you're talking these 3 different grinds and this really thick, bulky portion up here, you know, and to cut like that and work with this type of design is quite awesome. Another thing, you know, when you look at his artistry, his design, man, he's quickly becoming one of my favorite designers. For example, you know, look at the handles. You see that? I mean, it takes, in my opinion, a deep understanding, whether it be graphic design or just general artistry or something, to come up with something like that, to be able to make that work, to figure out those patterns, where you want to, where you want the cuts to form, and the entire design is very out of the box. And I think that only through being around those kind of machines for such an extended period of time, do all the techniques and different ideas, he can easily think outside the box and manipulate to create some pretty badass designs. And I got a chance to hold it without the scales, and these edges here aren't rounded off. He was talking maybe he would do that, but if you wrap a paracord, the point is you could feel it more without these handle scales. There's this very good grip. These two for those two fingers, and this for these two. But with these scales on, it just feels more round and filled out, and it's fine. Grip-wise, I'd have to test it more and to tell you how it feels. It does feel ergonomic, because it's, for me, the blade, actually, if you look at it, like, it's hard to tell perhaps in other videos, and so now you can kind of see, if you actually look at it, it doesn't look that ridiculously big over here. It actually looks a little more sleek than initially it might appear. So if you actually look at it, it actually is kind of more like, it almost reminds me of like some kind of hunting knife or something you could like chop with, or skin with. I mean, it actually, or even something you could throw, it looks like. I mean, with this kind of balance, you could throw it. The overall weight, now I'm going to have to annotate that in, but I mean, it doesn't bug me. There is a, this is number 2, so to the viewers watching this, here it is. This is a limited run of 100, so will he make more? I don't know. This extended portion out of the handle, can allow you to hit on it. Perhaps not just for like that purpose, but perhaps when you're working, you could doing outdoor work, you could hammer on it. I mean, that's a lot of work in my opinion. Like, I mean, between holding Anzos to Reeves to everything, his work by far, his knives have just a lot more design than most knives include, and the prices are really fair. I mean, what the triple threat costs to buy is like ridiculous. It's just is very, very reasonable price for this kind of work. Compared to other knives I've seen, production knives, Spydercos, I mean everything, Jason's giving a really good price on his knives. So, funny is that it doesn't come with a sheath. To anyone who buys one, they don't come with Kydex sheaths. I guess you could ask Jason, he'll make you one, or send it to Gavco and he'll make you one, or make one yourself. But they don't come with any Kydex sheaths. And they also don't seem to have a lanyard hole, so, but that's debatable. Like, I don't use lanyards in my knives, and I mean, if you're familiar with using the knives, and you won't rarely ever drop them. I've never dropped a knife batoning or chopping and all these tests, so I don't really think it's necessary. I mean, I'm not going to throw it with a lanyard on. So some people will say that this is more artistry, and I can appreciate for that. But I like it because of function, because it does function, which is really good. Between the balance to the edge geometry working, and to then the thickness that provides, and the grip, it functions, and it's a good quality steel. I mean, it's not, to me, just looks. I mean, this is something else. This is pretty cool. So that's the triple threat by Jason Brous. They are limited, so maybe you want to jump on it, check them out. I definitely like them. I'm gonna keep one of the prototypes for myself because I don't mind that little hang up, and I do like the black coated blade. So thank you. There is one corner that is a little of a concern for me, and that's this one right here. I have never noticed it until actually observing it, until actually like scrutinizing it. But because this choil is strong enough, and this choil is strong enough to keep your hand in place. But if your hand were to, for example, somehow, I mean, like I said, I have callus there, so I don't really feel it. But I can understand for some people that, there's a transition. I mean, there's still a, it's not acute because of these scales. You may never even feel it, but I mean, it is there. It is a spot that you can definitely notice is sharp. And so I mean, but you know, like I said, that just depends. I mean, if you're gonna use it, then there's no reason why you can't instantly just go and dull those corners. But for brand new sake, it is machined and kind of hard cut right there. There could have been a slight oversight, but I mean, like, it's not the end of the world.